Venezuelan people get ready to go to the poll again on Sunday for the second popular consultation to define projects of local interest and benefit the communities. In Paraguay, the deputy of the ruling party, Eulalio Gomes, was killed in his home by members of the police force during a riot. The Israeli occupation army committed a new war crime by bombing a school that served as shelter for the displaced people in the Gaza Strip. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll be with the news. Stay with us. Venezuelan people are getting ready to go to the polls again on Sunday in the second popular consultation to define projects of local interest and benefit the communities. In this regard, citizens will participate in elections to select the communal projects that will have priority for their execution in the communities of the country as an exercise to strengthen the participatory democracy. The elections will allow more than 49,000 communal councils of the country to choose the local development plan to benefit the communities who are working to improve self-management and social control. For his part, the Minister of Communes and Social Movement, Angel Prado, stressed that the Bolivarian government is going for a new victory. On an exclusive interview for teleSUR, Minister of Communes and Social Movements of Venezuela, Angel Prado, noted that the popular consultation on August 25th will serve the communal councils to address social projects to provide solutions to the Venezuelan people.
El circuito comunal está integrado por varios consejos comunales.
A communal circuit is integrated by several communal councils. In this case, each communal council raises 3 projects. In its first instance, that is, the communal council then goes to the Great Assembly of the circuit, each one with its 3 projects. And there you define between 6 and 7 projects that will be submitted to vote, in this case next August 25. There the people will vote for the project they are interested in resolving first, but there is a second, third project that even has the possibility of having a transfer of resources to financing if it is not through the presidency of the Republic. It can be a mayor's office, a governor's office, or a ministry.
In this regard, the Venezuelan Minister Angel Prado assured that since the government of President Hugo Chavez, the country initiated a participative and inclusive policy.
This sets off by that hopeful time in 1998, a little earlier with Commander Hugo Chavez, and by 1999, a constituent assembly was proposed, and we approved a new constitution, where we left behind the representative politics to initiate a participative politics of inclusion of the people, where the people can be involved in administering domestic resources, and the people can be part of the planning. Before, there were only neighborhood associations that were obsolete organizations where only one person, having little contact with some authority of the ruling political party, would send information. However, nothing happened at all. There was no transfer of resources of competence. Neither the management of the regional government existed, nor popular organization was allowed.
The Venezuelan Minister of Communes also points out that the popular organizations for the communes allows the people to govern the elected authorities as a whole.
The communal councils are born in the communal councils as legal figures that even have a legal account in a bank. They have an executive structure of government. They have a work committee. They have a territorial scope. That have a name. That has a charter, that has a development plan, and that the Citizens' Assembly is the highest decision-making body, that exercises a social control, and that has a project and transfer of resources. We advanced in this country with the housing mission. Well, thanks to the birth of the communal councils, those small cells of self-government in 49,000 spaces of the national territory, that was a boom. It was a real joy in our people from that moment of the government. They know how to administer. They know how to manage. They organize themselves. They execute courses. And well, we say there at the base we learn to be political.
In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro celebrated the exit of social network X from Brazil after the Supreme Court of Justice proved that it inoculates hate messages and spread false information. During the broadcast of his program Con Maduro Más, the Venezuelan president denounced that Elon Musk incited a hate campaign throughout social networks, summoning Venezuelans influencers and artists abroad to betray their homeland. In this sense, the Venezuelan president asserted that the extreme right is no longer based on political parties, leaders, on ideologies, but on influencers who manage large number of followers. President Maduro also celebrated the exit of social network X in Brazil and assured that Latin America will defeat these media campaigns that seek to undermine peace and the institutionality of the nations of the region.
Yo tengo un informe que me mandaron de Brasil, mira, aquí lo tengo. ¿Ve?
I have a report that they sent me from Brazil. Look here, I have it. See, it is quite long. It turns out that a judge of the Supreme Court of Brazil, surnamed Moraes, applying the law and the laws that exist in Brazil against false information, hate crimes, which are laws that every country has the right to approve to defend their society, discovered all the campaigns of hate and lies which were applied in Brazil in the last election campaign of Elon Musk through X, previously called Twitter, against Brazilian citizens, as Elon Musk openly supported, in a vulgar way, violating the laws of Brazil, to Jair Bolsonaro, as he later supported the assault to power on January 8th. Then in those investigations the court took precautionary measures, with Twitter, with X, then Elon Musk, as he gives himself a bravo, seeing that he was lost, before the highest court of Brazil, announced yesterday that he is leaving Brazil. Very good, Brazil. Excellent. You have won mental health and peace. Out Elon Musk and out X from Latin America.
Let's take a very first break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account and teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. On Monday, the deputy of the ruling party of Paraguay, Eulalio Gomes, was killed in his home by members of the police force during a riot. The police operation was part of a series of riots carried out in the city of Pedro Juan Caballero. One took place in the home of the congressman of the Colorado Party and another in the home of his son, Alexander Rodrigo Gomez. In this regard, preliminary information revealed that both had offered resistance, which provoked an exchange of fire with the authorities that resulted in serious wounds to the lawmakers who passed on their way to the hospital.
Police officers mounted a raid to inspect and seize evidence related to the punishable offense of money laundering, association to commit a crime, etc. While they were on the raid, a confrontation arose, which led to a fatality.
The aftermath of Scartuma, lawyer for the Gomez family, denounced alleged irregularities in the police procedure.
For us, there was no need to carry out that search at 3 in the morning. Even though the law foresees that possibility, it foresees it in case of urgency. It is foreseen in case the person is with the intention of escaping, or if a burning of files is happening, or if there is an attempt to destroy the elements contemplated in the search warrant. They could have waited quietly until 6 in the morning and carry out the procedure in a normal way, and not enter hooded, breaking doors, to generate, or due to that it ended up generating, the outcome that we all know.
In addition, Director of Legal Medicine of the Prosecutor's Office, Pablo Lemir, describes the cause of the death of legislator Eulalio Gomes.
Both wounds are caused by high-velocity ammunition, and specifically the wound on the left side causes total destruction of the heart, a cardiac arrest, as well as lung and liver injuries.
And in the Chinese autonomous region of Xinjiang, previously known as Tibet, U.S. accusations the population positively evaluates the government's policies aimed at bettering their access to basic infrastructure and services and preserving the region's cultural and religious values. From Xinjiang, teleSUR collaborator Mauro Ramos offers more details.
The Democratic Party has chosen Kamala Harris as running mate, Minnesota government Tim Walz. The Democrat was a congressman for 6 terms since 2006 and is also known for his interest in China. Walz was a member of the Congressional Executive Commission on China, a body that claims to monitor human rights in the Asian country. The Chinese government has repeatedly expressed strong dissatisfaction and opposition to the reports released by the Commission. China also has just taken countermeasures on Congressman Jim McGovern, a member of the Commission and a very close ally of Tim Walz. Because of his actions meddling in China's internal affairs, McGovern will be banned from doing business or traveling to China. In recent years, Walz and McGovern have focused on reporting alleged human rights abuses in Xinjiang, known as Tibet in the West. We were invited to be part of a delegation to visit Xinjiang firsthand. We spoke with peasants, teachers, and monks from different cities in the autonomous region.
As a Tibetan, I can mention 2 significant actions that the Communist Party of China took in Xinjiang. Politically, the party freed millions of serfs, granting them freedom. Economically, by 2019, all 74 impoverished counties in Tibet had been lifted out of poverty. Now, we are entering a phase of rural revitalization.
May marked 73 years since the peaceful liberation of Xinjiang. At that time, aristocrats, local officials, and high-ranking lamas in monasteries who represented only about 5% of the Tibetan population owned almost all of the region's wealth. The other 95% were feudal serfs and enslaved people. By 2019, 628,000 people had been lifted out of absolute poverty in the 74 counties mentioned by Yang Zong. Part of the policies focused on relocating families from places that are difficult to access and without basic infrastructure or services. Tsi Wang Pintuo, a resident of Siga village, was one of the relocated Tibetans.
We come from a small village in Medich County, Nyingki. It used to take 5 or 6 days to walk from our village to the county town. Sometimes when we went to Bohm County to buy things, we had to carry everything, whether big or small, on our backs. In our hometown, the most common means of transportation to cross the Yarlung Zangbo River was the iron rope. So, it was obviously difficult to send children to school and for the elderly to see the doctor. It is fair to say that our quality of life was low. With the help of the country and the government, we moved to our current home in 2003.
In addition to the different commissions in the U.S. Congress, Human Rights Watch is another U.S. entity that negatively evaluates these policies in Xinjiang. In different reports, the organization claims that the relocations were forced and that the Tibetan language and culture have been repressed, although the Xinjiang Autonomous Region has a bilingual education system in Mandarin and Tibetan. Wang Dui is a primary school teacher. He talks about the education offered in schools in the region.
We are committed to preserving and transmitting our culture. In our classes, each teacher incorporates this tradition into their classes, sharing knowledge with everyone. Whether it is about passing on tradition or learning about it, our goal is to pass this content on to our students so they can better preserve it in the future.
Long Duo has been teaching Tibetan for 24 years. He states that in addition to the language, the teaching of Tibetan calligraphy in schools is being increasingly prioritized.
In the past, we did not have convenient transportation like today. The road we used to use to go to school was difficult to walk on. In the past, we needed ink and paper to practice Tibetan calligraphy, but we didn't have it, so we had to follow tradition and write on wooden tablets. But now students have good quality paper and ink. They are very lucky.
Human Rights Watch also accuses China of restricting religious freedom in Xinjiang. Buddhism is one of the main religions practiced in China, along with Taoism, Islam, Catholicism, and Protestantism. Although the state is secular, there are policies to support monasteries and monks due to the cultural and historical value of Tibetan Buddhism, which is the second largest branch of this religion in the country. Dongzhu, guide at the Changzhou Temple, explains this policy.
The government takes care of our monks in various aspects, such as medical care and social security. For example, all temples in Xi'an, including Changyu Temple, offer a free annual medical checkup for monks. The checkup results are kept in the monks' personal records. Our temple's main source of income comes from our small tea shop and the sale of items such as butter lamps, barley lamps, and katas, all made by the temple itself. These sources of income are usually enough to support each monk.
Barker Street and Chokan Temple are in the center of the old city of Lhasa, the capital of Xizang. The temple is under state protection and became a UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site in 2000. More than 90% of the population of Xizang is Tibetan Buddhist. The Chokan Temple was built over 1,300 years ago, and the temple receives up to 80,000 people a day on special dates for Tibetan Buddhism.
With the country's strong support, transportation and economy here are relatively developed compared to before, and there are many more tourists and worshippers than before. As the internal staff of Yokong Temple, we monks must maintain and protect this world cultural heritage, make our own efforts to pass it on to the next generation, and strengthen our research on religious knowledge.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch an interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. In the United States, pro-Palestinian activists demonstrate near the National Convention of the Democratic Party in Chicago to demand an end to the government's arms shipment to Israel. These weight activists and members of human rights organizations call for the current administration to end the policies for support to Israel. The demonstrators also demand that the government of President Joe Biden exert pressure on Tel Aviv to end the genocidal Israeli war against the Palestinians in Gaza. The mobilizations were concentrated outside the city's United Center, where the Democratic National Convention is being held with the participation of Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. In this context, several Democratic National Convention delegates covered their mouth during U.S. President Joe Biden world speech on Monday at the first night of the Paris gathering in Chicago. With the action, the delegates protest the government's stance in the Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza, which Biden's administration has been funding for 10 months. Some delegates expressed their open disagreement with the government's actions, including Washington State Representative Sabrin Odeh.
Because we wanted to send the message that we don't agree with what Biden has been doing, and he has been funding genocide of the Palestinian people for 10 months now. And to be quite honest with you, we knew we had to do something because the people of Gaza need us to amplify their voices.
My vote is not secure. I feel very comfortable saying that. I recognize, as I said, over 80% of Democrats agree with me. Everybody comes here and sees my kufiyah and they say, we support you. We support your message. And so it's now the responsibility of our elected officials, right now President Biden and Vice President Harris, to listen to all of us. Everybody here is in agreement. We don't want to continue killing babies. We don't want to continue killing women. And so we need them to listen to us.
On Tuesday, the Israeli occupation army committed a new war crime by bombing a school that served as shelter for displaced people in the Gaza Strip. In this regard, civil defense spokesman Mohammed Basal reported that at least 10 people were killed, including 2 children, in the strike that targeted Mustafa al-Hassim School in the West Gaza City. Basal added they are still recovering bodies from the schools whose building collapsed after being directly hit by a bomb. In this context, social activists condemn the attacks as a violation of international law and call as a genocide. It is worth noting that the Israeli army has bombed more than 400 schools, universities, and educational institutions in the Gaza Strip since October 2023. And also in Palestine, the Israeli genocidal force killed an 18-year-old teenage boy in an incursion into the town of Dura in the occupied West Bank. The Palestinian Wafa news agency reported that Mohammed Ibrahim al-Barod was shot and then died in the hospital. However, earlier the occupation forces stormed the city located in southern Hebron, leading to clashes during which soldiers for ammunition, stun grenades, and poison gas at the youth. Since the outset of the genocide in Gaza, the Israeli army skyrocketed its already frequent attacks on the occupied West Bank, killing 636 Palestinians since then, either at the hands of Israeli soldiers or as a result of violent riots mounted by Jewish soldiers. On Tuesday, the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas underscored that the U.S. substantially changed the ceasefire proposal to buy time for Israel to continue its genocide. The movement noted that aforesaid as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Egypt to hold talks with the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi about alleged negotiations for the ceasefire in Gaza. Playing the role of mediator alongside Egypt and Qatar, the U.S. urged Hamas to accept a very different proposal from ones endorsed by the United Nations a couple of months ago. These new proposals were passed by Israel since they do not demand the withdrawal of Israeli genocidal forces from the Gaza Strip. In this regard, Hamas does point out the U.S. hypocrisies of promoting a ceasefire in Gaza. And in the devastated city of Khan Yunis, agricultural engineers survived Inas could create a water filtered vital for supplying drinking water, which is scarce in the Gaza Strip. The 15-year-old engineer used wood from fuel panels and entering Gaza and windows panels from abandoned buildings to assemble a glass cover throat. These scientists made up a whole process based on solar energy to turn the water into potable. Her device has become crucial for the inhabitants due to they face power outages and water shortages. Indeed, water availability plummeted by 94% since October 2023, average 4.7 liters daily, which is less than a single toilet flush per person.
This device is not just for war. It also addresses the issue of salinity, specifically the salinity of water wells in the Gaza Strip. In a few years, we won't have fresh water to drink in the Gaza Strip. All the fresh water is used by farmers to grow strawberries, which require fresh water, and which are then exported. The same applies to growing flowers.
This project came at exactly the right time. It was able to provide us with clean drinking water. And for about 2 months, we relied on it entirely.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.